The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, police are cracking down on distracted drivers.
Get ready for your biking adventures.
And brightening up the Lunar New Year.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Katarina Szulc.
And I'm Sam Serraglio. Let's take a look at what's been happening in the news this week.
March is Safe Driving Awareness Month in BC, and ICBC, police, and community members are working together to crack down on distracted driving. My co-anchor, Sam Serraglio, has more.
ICBC's distracted driving campaign is in full swing this month, but it won't be just police cracking down on drivers. ICBC staff can assist the police through a Cell Watch program where they can report distracted drivers to police.
So there's volunteers that are giving time out of their own schedule out there that are monitoring for distracted drivers. So it could be people on their cell phone, it could be texting or other forms of distraction.
Police take those tips and set up in hot spots, and safe driving advocates have also stepped in to help police set up signs. Citizens can patrol their communities and set up signs in areas where they feel need to be monitored. It's a way that can help accident victims be a part of the change.
When I got into my accident, I broke 3 of my right ribs and shattered my right hip. So for the rest of my life, I will be in lower back pain.
In 2018, Patterson was struck at the intersection of 216th and 96th in Langley. The other driver was texting and didn't see the stop sign.
It's just really frustrating to know that this all could have been avoided if they weren't on their phone while they were driving.
Distracted driving is the cause of 1 in every 4 fatal crashes in BC, so this month the push is on to change that statistic. Sam Serraglio in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. BC paramedics have been experiencing more stress since the start of COVID-19. And as reporter Clayton Whitelaw found out, they're not the only ones suffering the consequences.
Over 1,400 911 calls are made in BC every day, but the number of available paramedics to answer those calls is shrinking.
This past weekend, we were seeing delays on emergency calls up to an hour. Definitely paramedics taking time off is a factor.
Across the past 2 weekends, up to 25% of ambulances were without operators in the Lower Mainland. And, according to Clifford, the problem may only continue to get worse.
We need more paramedics coming into this business. And until we can change that reliance on marginalized workers or the low wages and benefits and our service delivery model, I think we're going to continue to see those challenges.
Only 1 in 4 paramedics in BC are full-time. The rest are either on-call or part-time, making minimum wage or even only a $2 stipend while waiting for a call.
That's been there for quite some time. Like that's not a new issue, but certainly I would say it does have a contributing factor to it.
And until COVID-19 is eradicated, Clifford says there's little hope that the current understaffed situation will get better, so the public should be prepared to wait. Clayton Whitelaw, Maple Ridge, BCIT Magazine.
BC health officials are hoping to fast-track the vaccination rollout. All eligible residents will be offered their first dose before the end of July. Dr. Bonnie Henry has also extended the time period between the first and second vaccine dose to 4 months.
Bike ridership has spiked during the pandemic. But with supply chain disruptions, bike shops are struggling to keep up with demand. Reporter Rachel Adams has more.
As the weather starts to improve in Vancouver, people will be dusting off their old bikes and streets will be bustling with cyclists. It also means more bikes may need tune-ups and repairs, and so be prepared to wait.
So some needs we can meet immediately, but others, sometimes people are waiting 18 months. Like if they want what they want, and that's the only thing that we'll do, then we're just candid with them that it's going to take that long.
And those who depend on bikes for transportation are facing the consequences.
I snapped a chain, it needs a new drivetrain. However, my bike mechanic says I can't get any parts,
Smith says there are some things cyclists can do to make sure they aren't waiting for repairs.
We've actually put together a list of parts that we are recommending people pre-buy before they need them, because you might not be able to get them come May or June.
That list includes the chain, the cassette and cogs at the back, the chain ring at the front, and even an extra inner tube or wheel. Another way riders can prolong the lifespan of bike parts is to check their ABCs: air, brakes, and chain. And if you think your bike may need a tune-up, do it sooner rather than later. Rachel Adams, in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Rachel Adams joins us now. Rachel, what kind of riders will most be affected by these delays?
Well, Sam, although all cyclists are being affected by the shortage right now, a spokesperson for the nonprofit Cycle Hub is saying they're concerned it's going to turn into an equity issue, which means that people who can't afford to buy a bus pass or take other forms of transportation are going to have to shell out even more money while they wait.
Is there anything people can do to help the shortage right now?
Cycle Hub is saying that what people can do in the meantime is bring their old bikes from storage and drop them off at their local donation shop. That way they can be sold at lower rates or used for spare parts. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Rachel.
A North Vancouver artist loves to capture images of bears. She also hopes to capture funds for their protection. Reporter Darren Piper takes us on a tour.
We started this thing as a huge abstract.
Louise Nicholson has been painting since 2003, but her bear portraits only started in recent years. The North Vancouver artist discovered her passion for painting bears about 5 years ago when she was commissioned to paint one.
Had never done one before, but partway through I kind of went, oh, look at it. and that was it. I was sort of hooked, and I've just found something in their faces every time.
Nicholson is now working with the North Shore Black Bear Society. It's a partnership that was sparked from the killing of a bear named Huckleberry in Deep Cove last year.
I'm working with them doing actually a portrait of Huckleberry right now so that I can help them with some fundraising efforts so they can do more community education.
The nonprofit society hopes Louise's artwork will help people to better understand these animals.
Having Louise paint this, it's not quite finished, but this beautiful portrait of this bear, very close up. She likes to capture the emotions in these animals, so it's a close-up of his face. You can see that he is a sweet, gentle bear, and that's exactly what he was.
I was shocked at...
Nicholson says the paintings allow her to connect with the bears on a deeper level and hopes others feel the same way.
I just feel that connection to it. I don't want people to be afraid or wanting to harm them. I just want them to see how lovely they are.
3 of Nicholson's paintings hang at Boulevard Bistro in North Vancouver, where they are constantly admired by customers and staff alike. Darren Piper in North Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Half a dozen Dr. Seuss books will no longer be published due to concerns about racist imagery. The 6 books were published between 1937 and 1976. The books have not been banned, but the company will no longer publish new editions of them. Coming up after the break, bad news about butter.
And more ways to work out in Coquitlam.
Hey, Leda.
Hey, James.
What's going on this week?
Oh my goodness, we have so much going on in the community calendar. Let's take a look. March 8th is International Women's Day, and to celebrate, you can join an afternoon high tea to honor local women and hear their inspiring and powerful stories on March 5th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. The event is hosted by Surrey City Council, and although the event will be free, it is encouraged to consider making a donation to Girl Guides of Canada.
Are you fit and ready for Beauty Night Society's Run for Resilience? On March 7th, there's a virtual marathon taking place with your option of either running or walking a 5 or 10K. It's a free event, but donations are more than welcome. All proceeds are going to women and children facing domestic violence in the downtown east side.
Well, if you're looking to improve your comedy skills, then check out Funny Fest's stand-up comedy and writing workshop happening on March 6th and 7th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Ramada Langley Surrey Hotel. Cost starts at $400.
What's better than Ted dancing? Ted singing and dancing.
This has been your community calendar for March 4th. I'm Leda Omid.
And I'm James O'Hara. Thanks for tuning in.
Some minor sports have sprung into action for the spring season, but things will look different due to COVID-19 restrictions. Our reporter Cam Lewis sat down with the head of Baseball BC to discuss these changes.
Minor baseball players and parents across the province have been sidelined since last year due to the pandemic, but under some different circumstances and some new changes, kids have started to gear up for their return to the diamond. This week I sat down with David Lang, the Executive Director of Baseball BC, to discuss what the upcoming season will look like. Thanks for joining me today, David.
You're very welcome, Ken. Happy to be here.
After the pandemic hit and minor sports were shut down, what was the plan going forward?
At that time, we started working very hard and aggressively on creating return to play policies and guidelines that would allow us to return safely when and if at that point we were able to get back to activity.
So what big changes will we see for the future of the sport, if not indefinitely?
With the goal of moving into regional play based on a cohort system that was implemented in 2020 through viaSport in the provincial government. And if we were able to get to that in a semi-timely fashion for 2021, I think you would see baseball return to normal where it's being played.
You mentioned viaSport, so could you explain who they are and what they do?
They're responsible to make sure that sport is offered in a progressive, safe, and welcoming manner, and to ensure that money is being provided to sport organizations through the provincial government are meeting minimum expectations and working to develop and grow their own sport.
So what are some of the precautions athletes, coaches, and volunteers must take before returning to the field?
Ensure that those participants are following the protocols and the rules that are in place before they participate, and then a waiver that reduces liability for the associations and the volunteers involved in each association.
Well, David, it was great speaking with you, so thank you for taking the time and talking to me and answering my questions.
Stay in touch. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye now.
During the pandemic, many of us became home bakers, and that meant we used a lot of butter. But as my co-anchor Katarina Szulc found out, something's changed, and the cows are in on it.
There are roughly 70,000 dairy cows in BC, and farmers are under fire for what those cows eat. Dave Jansen's Nikamekel Farms has been in the family since the 50s, and he has a lot to say about cow diets, especially about the recent public outcry over the use of palm byproducts.
In the case of palm products, that is a high energy source of nutrients for the cow.
Social media users have been expressing concerns over the noticeably harder to melt butter, pegging the issue as #Buttergate, with Jimmy Fallon weighing in and Canadians complaining about softening their room temperature butter in the microwave.
Although adding palm products into cow feed has been a common practice for Canadian dairy farmers for years, the Dairy Farmers Group of Canada has suggested that farmers hold back on this process. That is, until we get to the bottom of Buttergate.
The increase of palm byproduct in cow feed came after the heightened demand for baked goods during the pandemic. But this begs the question, is this hard butter worse or the same as regular butter?
So because palm oil is just very high in saturated fats,
as humans, when we consume it, it does have those bad effects on our bodies. Also, saturated fats have been really linked to cardiovascular problems, so problems with your heart. So consuming a lot of saturated fats over time can just increase heart problems, lead to cardiovascular distress.
Dave Jansen says as per the advice from the Dairy Farmers of Canada, he's holding off on feeding his cattle palm byproduct.
I'm Katarina Szulc in Surrey for BCIT Magazine.
BC has seen a record-breaking spike in illicit drug overdoses in January. Coroner's Service reported 165 people have died. This is the highest number ever recorded in the first month of the year.
Many weekend warriors enjoy heading to the hills in Westwood Plateau. The Coquitlam Crunch is popular with runners and hikers. Reporter Maria Diamond found out there's more to come.
The Coquitlam Crunch is one of the city's most popular trails, seeing as many as 52,000 hikers each month. The city has a plan to ease that with an extension. The brand new trail will connect the existing route to Marina Way and Mundy Park. The upgrade has been in the works since 2018. Crowds under COVID have accelerated the plan. Now hikers have until March 11th to complete a survey on how to improve the popular trail.
From the start, it's been really well handled, really well organized, with them switching up, just people going in one direction. It was a little busy when the pandemic first hit, but I think the way the mayor and the municipality handled it was excellent.
During peak times, the city issues more signage to ensure hikers socially distance.
We have signs in place, and during certainly last year, some periods of last year, we actually had staff on site to try and supervise and encourage people to socially distance themselves.
While COVID-19 has moved up the plan, the extension is not expected to be completed before 2023.
People were wanting this even pre-COVID, so COVID has created a bit more demand for the outdoor recreation amenities, but that demand has always existed and will continue to exist.
Though hikers are satisfied with the trail's COVID-19 protocols, the upcoming extension just means more people can enjoy it with less worry. Maria Diamond in Coquitlam for BCIT Magazine.
Celebrations for the Lunar New Year may be over, but there's still time to enjoy a lantern art display in Vancouver. Reporter Santiago Silva shows us how it continues to bring brightness to people's lives.
Winter during a pandemic has been tough for many people. Fortunately, these lanterns are here to help.
Having these physical lanterns out there that people can walk by and see, it's just, for us, it's a pillar of light and warmth that we're hoping to bring to people.
The Asian Canadian Special Events Association is just one of the organizing teams behind the Lantern City project. This event celebrates the Lunar New Year together with BC's cultural diversity, resulting in some very unique lanterns.
We wanted that to be a representation of coming together, this indigenous art meeting a more traditionally Asian kind of art form, which is the lanterns. And so we like to see this kind of cohesiveness with art and bringing new expressions and new intermingling of culture.
Well, I guess I could be around here. Yeah, you're right.
It's just so beautiful to see all this range of style and cultural influence and background all coming together in such a beautiful sort of blend.
TIERNEY MILNE is one of the artists featured at the new Community Lanterns venue, an experience she never saw coming.
It was very humbling, I'd say, because especially, you want to be respectful of other cultures and traditions.
But setting up the event in a pandemic was no easy task, as space and safety limitations forced a change from the traditional venue at Jackpool Plaza.
Unfortunately, those had to be moved very last minute over to the Vancouver Art Gallery Plaza, and the lanterns that we originally had for that venue now had to be changed to a new venue at English Bay.
The last city lanterns are set to shine brightly at English Bay until March 7th. Santiago Silva in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
If you have any questions regarding the show, you can contact us at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitnews.com.
Thanks for watching BCIT Magazine. I'm Katarina Szulc.
And I'm Sam Serraglio. Have a nice weekend.